really hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, like, and click the bell to be notified of more fantastic music content just like this. Hello and welcome to the Need2Know Music Show with me, Ronan McManus, here on Switchbox TV. And today I'm joined by a country singer with an amazing story from homeless to #1 in Sweden. Please welcome Doug Seegers. How you doing?
I'm doing good. A little bit lonely these days with the virus going on. You know, there's not a lot of road work happening right now.
Yeah, it's a strange year for us all, isn't it? I think
It sure
just the
is.
amount of cancelled plans.
It's like a Stephen King movie, you know.
Yeah, except there's no end to it, as you can see. At least Stephen King movies end at some point.
I keep thinking I'm on a Stephen King movie here.
Well, so what's this year been like? You've been in Nashville, I presume. Been living around there, and what have you been doing with yourself?
Well, I've been staying home quite a bit and just trying to keep myself occupied with my hobbies. You know, I'm a retired woodworker. I did custom woodwork for 40 years, and I retired about 7 years ago, and then I started playing music out on the street, and that's when I ran into the woman from Sweden in the town of Nashville. But I ran into her at a food pantry, and when she heard my music, she took me to a studio, and that's when everything happened. You know,
it's a crazy story. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually retired from woodworking. I had just recently retired from my day job, and I was really happy to be retired because I had a whole lot more time to play music, and which really what put me out on the street, like playing, you know, all the time, you know. So,
yeah, I mean, just to before we go into the full story of the amazing story, you've been making guitars and things like that recently. You've been making your own guitars.
Yeah, my own guitar. I've been doing that for, I guess, maybe 10 years, and I haven't gotten any better yet, but I'm still trying.
I saw a video of you playing one of your guitars in it, and I know it's hard to sort of judge the sound, but this sounds great, really bright and full, and it must be really tough to get a guitar sounding so good.
Well, it's a learning experience like anything else you do. You know, if you do enough of it, you're bound to get better, you know. So, and it's the same thing with me with I started getting into amplifiers when I had an amplifier that was broken a lot of years ago, and I brought it to a music shop to ask them if they could fix the reverb. They charged me quite a bit of money to fix it, and I got the amp home, and it wasn't. So my frustration by dealing with other repairmen is what got me involved into electronics and wanting to figure out how to fix my own amps at that point. And that was about probably 20 years ago.
So then you've been building your own amps, is that right? Or have you just been fixing them up?
No, I've been building from scratch. Yep.
Wow.
I'm getting ready.
That's going to save a lot of money in the long run.
Well, no, it's really not about money. It's really, as Uncle Doug says, a labor of love, you know. It's really a labor of love, you know. You're not building the amps to make a living. You're just building them just because for me, it's just, I'm just so fascinated by the whole thing, you know, about the electronics that go through a guitar amp. It's just amazing.
So are you able to make them sound like you want them to sound and modeled in your own ear?
Not yet. No, not yet. I'm working off a schematic, you know, and then ordering the parts and just trying to build. It's called the clone, you know. The one I'm studying now is the original Fender Deluxe 5E3 schematic, and that's the one that I built 2 of them already, and I'm working on a 3rd one now.
Fantastic.
But as far as altering the sound to my own likes, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting closer.
Well, I'll have to keep in touch with you and put an order in so you can get one shipped over here. I'll have a Doug Seegers original.
Actually sold 3 of them now. So
Have
I'm getting
you?
to the point. Yeah, on eBay. So I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to build them and selling them, but it's not going to be something where I'm going to think I'm going to make a living doing it. It's just, just nice to keep going, really.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's definitely something to. It's a great hobby to get into. To be able to do that is an amazing thing. I wish I could do that, but I can barely play them. Never mind make them. But so I want to get onto your story. I mean, because this is just a crazy thing that happened. So you moved to Nashville, and you kind of found yourself kind of living on the streets. Is that right? You weren't in a
Yeah.
good place in your life.
Yeah, well, I left a bad place upstate New York when I split up with my alcoholic girlfriend, and then I came to Nashville sober. I got to the point where I was living all alone, and I was sober, and then I went back to drinking, and then I started. I don't know how much I could say, I don't
Yeah,
but
this is
let's just say that I was kind of really out of loneliness. I started going back to my old habits, drinking and drugging, and
yeah,
then things just kind of slowly went downhill for a lot of years, and the music went down the drain, and it just things were things were bad for a lot of years. I was just living on the streets and actually working a day job, and then spending all my money on alcohol and drugs every weekend. So that was bad. It was a bad time in my life, and it lasted, I don't know, like 10 years or so.
and but you were playing guitar on the street. Was that
Yeah, I
right? You
was
used to play.
working.
You were kind of a street singer.
Yeah, yep. Busking, it's called.
Yeah,
I've been watching a girl. I've been watching a girl by the name of Ali Sherlock. She's from Ireland.
in
I don't know if
Dublin.
you.
Yeah, she's amazing, isn't she?
Oh my God! I texted her just the other day. I want so bad just to go over there and see her playing out on the street. She's very,
She's
very
made a
talented.
she's built like an entire career from busking in central Dublin,
And
and
her dad is so supportive of her. That's half of the beauty is how her father is like, just the two of them working together is a beautiful thing.
she's
You
so
can
young
feel
still, and her voice
yeah,
is
but
just amazing.
you can feel her love for her father with all the videos you watch. And he's
Yeah,
right there behind her. It's a beautiful thing going on, and she's gonna hit big. She's been on the Ellen show. So
yeah,
there you
that's
go.
it.
I
Yeah.
mean, for her and me, we that's how we got our big started out on the street.
So you were kind of discovered by this Swedish camera crew who were visiting Nashville to do a piece on street performers. Is this right? That's
That's
right, isn't it?
correct. That's very
And
correct. That's
they
how it
were getting
started.
something to they were getting something to eat from a street vendor who pointed them your way. And there's actually footage of them hearing you sing for the first time.
Yeah.
So you sang going down to the river,
Yep.
and what was their reaction? Was just they just went crazy for the song.
Yeah. Yeah. They really. I mean, it was just. I couldn't help but thinking it was just God's work, because it was so miraculous, the way they were looking at me, and I'm just this poor old hobo living out on the street, thinking that he's playing a half-ass song. I'm feeling really good about the song. Thought, okay, this is a new song, so let me play it for them and see how well it goes over. And as I'm playing it, I'm looking at Jill Johnson was the woman who did all this recording. She brought me to the studio and everything. But she's as big as Dolly Parton in Sweden. She's a very, very big
She has her
star.
own. She has her own TV show there, isn't she?
Jill, Jill's Veranda, and she's really into helping up and coming people. So that was what it kind of meant a lot to her to be able to do something for me. But little did she know that the song was going to jump up to number one when she put it in her television show. None of
And then
us expected
suddenly,
that.
and then
Yeah.
suddenly you were on a plane to Sweden.
Yeah, exactly. No, the first thing that happened was The song becomes number one. I don't even know it. I'm on the way to the library in Nashville, and this guy, this stranger, walks up to me and he says, "You're Doug Seegers, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, you got a number one song in Sweden right now."
You must have thought he was crazy.
No, I just so happened that I was on the way to the library, so I jumped up on the computer there. And I'm Googling around, I'm not really good with computers, but I'm Googling around. I finally find the Swedish chart list there, and I see Doug Seegers number one. I'm like, I'm sitting in my seat in the library going, holy fuck, just in a kind of in a coma, coma state.
So how did the story develop then? You went over to Sweden and
I get a phone call. I get a phone call like a day later or 2 days later, and a young man introduces himself to me as a promoter in Sweden and says, "Doug," he says, "I'd like to get to know you because you have a number one song here, and I want to book you over here." He says, "I'm talking about booking about 60 shows for you." And he says, "But before you come over, we have to get an album recorded in Nashville for you to bring with you as a promotional tool. So I'll go ahead and record a record, and then the record goes platinum in a short while too." And things just really kind of exploded very quickly for me when I finally kicked into gear.
You had enough songs, did you, for an album anyway? You had been writing for a number of years, had you?
Yeah, I have been writing a number of years. And what's really fun for me when I record a record is that I'll bring out some of the old and then put in some of the new and just kind of blend it all together, So, and I can continue to do that too. I still have old ones and I still have new ones I'm working on as we speak. So
Fantastic. And so where were you in terms of your addiction at this point? I mean, this really interests me because I'm 3 years sober myself, and
good for you.
But I know that like how it affected my music and my ability and my whole life, obviously, but more noticeably my music, getting that sort of clearer head and it felt like a new chapter in my life. Where were you at this stage in terms of what you were drinking at this time? At this time when you had the success in Sweden?
Well, how nasty can I get as far as talking to you about the real dirty part?
Well, it's a TV show. You can do it. It's a internet TV show. You can say whatever you like. We want the truth.
Are we live? Are we live, or is it going to be?
We're not
edited?
live. We can edit things, so we can edit things down if you don't want them in there. So speak freely, and you'll get full editing rights at the end. So nothing will go out without your say so.
All right. Well, I was, like I say, I was out on the street, and then I started getting involved with alcohol, and then out of loneliness, I went out and boy, it's hard for me to even say this. I actually fell in love with a prostitute.
Right.
So then she got me into drugs, and I started hanging out with her, doing a lot of drugs and a lot of drinking. And I got myself to the point where things were going really, really, really bad for me. And the funny thing about it is that I was still managing to hold on to my day job, but every weekend, I would run myself down with drugs and alcohol. And then she left. She wound up leaving me, and I was brokenhearted and drinking really heavy at that point. So I got myself to the point where one night I was sitting outside, leaning outside an abandoned church in West Nashville, drunk on vodka, and I just started thinking that I'm gonna die soon if I don't get myself out of this jam I'm in here. So I said a prayer to God that night, and I told him that I needed his help, and I woke up the next morning. And that's when the miracle happened that night, in my sleep, because I woke up the next morning and I knew immediately that I was done with it all. And you know, the funny thing about that is about after God had woken me up that morning and I knew that I was sober and clean, uh, I'd say probably maybe only 2 or 3 weeks later, I run into Jill Johnson at the food pantry.
That's
So it was
amazing,
his
isn't
way
it?
of, it was God's way of gifting me by bringing me Jill Johnson and putting me back on the track that I belong to be on, you know.
So it gave you a kind of a purpose, kind of a focus.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean, because
I'm writing songs now. I mean, not now, but I always have been writing songs about recovery and my faith in God and stuff like that. I think it's important, you know.
so did you feel like your creativity increased then once you were sober? Was there a noticeable knock-on effect to creativity and enthusiasm and energy and that kind of thing? 'Cause I found that. I'm wondering if it was the same for you.
Absolutely. I wasn't playing or writing at all when I was drugging and drinking. I had I, I had lost my touch for music. I had lost my I mean, you know, music is something that I grew up on. My mother and father were both musicians. So I have a really deep love for music, you know. And when I was hooked on alcohol and drugs for 10 years, I mean, I wasn't doing any music, wasn't even trying, didn't even care about it, you know? So it was horrible. So of course, once I straightened out, I could see that, you know, my real desires to play music was really there. It always was there, but it was just kind of clouded up from the alcohol and the drugs, you know. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
couldn't do it. I couldn't be creative, you know, when I was addicted. Just could just can't do it, you know. But
yeah,
once I gave it up, it came right back. Like overnight it came back. It was just felt so right, so good.
fantastic. Yeah, I think that's definitely a good way to describe it, clouding up, because it is there, but it's just suppressed. It's not
Yeah,
able to kind of. It's like a bird not being able to spread its wings. It's still there. It's just not in its full
yeah.
flow. You know.
Well, when you look at the song, when you look at the lyrics to going down to the river, that's really a song about me wanting to get out of my mess, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a great song. I mean, I've been listening to it like back to back nearly for the last few days. It's just something that's just really bewitched me. I can see exactly why, and I think it's your voice too. Is you can hear the scars and the life in that. It's you can hear the sort of genuine.
That's what
Um,
Emmylou Harris said. That's what she said, Emmylou, and she was talking about me. She called in. I did this one radio show, and she called in, and we had a little chat together. And she said that about my voice. She said you could hear the hard life in his voice.
but it's endearing. It's a great quality to have in a country singer, because you think
Yeah,
every lyric that's being sung has been lived, and it's really important to that all the things that go into the songs, all the ingredients for songs, and some of those things aren't nice things to have experienced, but it's a great way to exercise all those demons and kind of. And do you find that writing songs is a cathartic process for you, getting all those things kind of down on paper? Does that help you in yourself?
writing is a therapy. You know, it definitely. I feel writing. It's a strong ingredient. You know, we need to. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, songs need to be therapeutic. You know, I mean that's how when you can get the whole world to relate to a thought that you something that you know you've been through. But when you can get everybody to relate to that same story, that's when you get a hit song. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's Go Down to the River, certainly that. But I want to speak about some other songs. I mean, Angel from a Broken Home.
Yeah.
That song is that really grabbed me, and it's a nice video to that too, watching that. What's the story behind that song?
My dad left me when I was 8 years old. Never came back.
The song's about
And
about a girl, isn't it? About a little girl. That's so
the song
you've
is
told us.
the song is it was written to be a wake-up call for all the young fathers in the world who have walked out of their family, walked away from their families, you know. So
Yeah,
and that's what
no,
it's
it's a beautiful
about.
song. It's a beautiful song, a tragic story, and all too familiar, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But definitely it's an important song. But just anybody who's watching this, just check out that song and check out the video. It's really
I
touching, beautiful song.
I call that song a wake-up call for all you young fathers out there in the world who walked out on your children, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And another song I wanted to talk about was "Give It Away." And I know you mentioned this. I saw a clip of you talking about this phrase: "If you want to keep it, you got to give it away."
Yeah.
And that was something that you'd heard in a Alcoholics Anonymous meeting.
Absolutely. Yep.
So tell us a little bit about that song, and because I think that was it's such a beautiful phrase, and you've turned it into a beautiful song as well. So tell us a little bit about that song.
Well, I got the idea to write that song when I was in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and I heard the sponsor use that line. And when I heard the line, I immediately thought to myself, "Wow, there's a song there for sure," you know, because the sponsor talks about if you're lucky enough to gain sobriety, it's kind of like you should look at it like it's you should become it's your responsibility to turn it around and try to help someone else who's doing bad, you know, and that's what you call being a sponsor in AA, you know.
Yeah,
So when you first start going to the meetings, they'll tell you that it's really good if you have a sponsor, you know, someone you can call when you get an urge to pick up a bottle again, you know. So it's kind of like what that song is about, but it's also, you know, I always try to involve my faith in my lyrics too, you know, because for me, as far as I'm concerned, when I woke up that morning and I was immediately healed without the use of medicine, without the use of anything, it's just that's what faith and hope is all about, you know. I think that I think God is my healer, you know, and I try to share that feeling in my lyrics with other, you know, with the songs I write.
yeah. It's a beautiful song. There's so many beautiful songs. I mean, I couldn't sit here and list them all because it's. I just really enjoyed doing a deeper dive into your music and hearing, all the different things you've done. You did the duet album with Jill Johnson as
Mm,
well.
yeah.
That was some co-writes with her on that album. Is that right?
No, I didn't. I never wrote with Jill. She did some of her songs, and she decided to let me, you know, put a few of my songs, and she actually sang harmony with me on a lot of my original songs on that record.
Okay.
And and then I, you know, learned the songs that she wanted to do. As far as co-writing, we have never co-written together.
Oh, okay. I mean, have you done co-writes with? Is that something you've ever done, or is it?
I've done a little bit of co-writing with close friends of mine, and I've also had some not so lucky experiences trying to get people involved in the co-writing too. So I'm kind of a little paranoid about co-writing with people.
Well, you seem to be doing a great job on your own, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I would like to be able to warm up better to the co-writing thing because I know it's real popular in Nashville. You know, it really is. But
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the show you've got coming up. You've got the Grand Passes and Emmylou show. You tell us a little bit. It's like it's the Doug Seegers All American Band. Is that right? Doug Seegers and his All American Band. So
yeah,
tell us. So that's coming up soon. So tell us a little bit about how that came about and what it's all about.
Well, we did last year, I believe it was. We went down to Waycross, Georgia, to the Graham Parsons annual guitar pull, and it's something that they do every year to highlight the talent of Graham and Emmylou Harris. So you go down to this festival in Waycross, and every band that comes up on stage, and they have about 10 or 12 bands, during the course of the day. Well, I think they have it for a couple of days. I think, yeah, it's a weekend thing. But they all, it's all about playing Graham's music, all the stuff that he's done and paying honor to him. So I grew up listening to Graham Parsons from way far as back as the Flying Burrito Brothers and Sweetheart of the Rodeo with the Birds. And so I've always had a strong love for Graham. I was one of the very, very early people that tried to spread his music around back when I was a younger man, much younger. I was always in bands where we do half the songs that we did in the clubs were Graham and Emmylou songs, and I always had a female singer in the band too. So I did a lot of years for that, but it seems as time goes on, Graham's popularity is keeps improving, so which is nice as far as I'm concerned, but it should have happened like 30 years ago, and it never did. So I try to take advantage of going to these Graham shows, and I just got the idea that I would try to start one on my own, here in Nashville. And I thought it might get some people are interested. So we did one at the Five Spot a few weeks back, so we could air that on Facebook, and it was half song my songs, and we're going to do a couple of shows coming up here. We're playing the 14th at Dee's Country Lounge in Madison, and then we're playing on the 21st of November at Betty's Bar. It used to be called the Trolley. Now it's called Betty's Bar and Grill, or I'm not sure. Betty's something. Everybody just called it Betty's in West Nashville.
And these shows are going to be live streamed. Is that right? There's going to be some live streams going on. There's going to be some streaming of the shows anyway over here in Europe as well.
Yep. We're working with a company called Mandolin.com, and they're going to be streaming the shows for us.
They did some great stuff with live streams, aren't they?
Yeah, they did. Emmylou Harris actually just. When was it? Just a couple of days ago. She did a show in West Nashville at the City Winery, and she had the Red Dirt Boys playing with her, who they also helped me record my first two albums. I used her band and actually got her to sing a couple of songs with me too. So that was really fantastic. I mean, I've always, since I was like back 22, 23 years old, I love Graham Parsons, and then I was listening to him when he had first discovered Emmylou, and then of course when he passed away at such a young age, I just started following all her music. I ran out and bought her first record, and I've been listening to her all these years. But she's the amazing thing about Emmylou is that she has just showed so much respect for Graham and just so much gratefulness that she for what he had brought her into.
Yeah. So she's absolute legend, isn't she?
Yeah. So that for me, that was the amazing story in my life. Just experiencing that whole thing at such a young age. But the frustrating part was nobody else knew about them back then. Nobody else was really, like you talk about Graham Parsons back in 1969. But to your average local musician, and they'd say, "Who's that?"
And now he's one of the he's got one of the biggest legacies going now. Everyone knows who he is now. It's fantastic. Yeah. So people are late to get on the train, but at least they're getting on.
It was frustrating for us back in the day when we were playing all Graham and Emmylou stuff because it wasn't going over in bars, So, but we didn't play. We played.
This is really good stuff. This is really good. Why aren't you loving this more?
We played for a lot of empty bars, holding true to our love for Graham and Amy Lou. You know.
Well, you've been on the right side of history anyway. Let's just say that. You've been proven right. So there is going to be a stream, and it's going out at I think 8 o'clock Central European time as well. And so we'll get there's going to be a poster for that, which will add to the end of the video. So we'll make sure that people can see that. And so yeah, watch out for that. At the end of the video, we'll put that on so you can check out that. So it's the Grand Passes Emmylou tribute show, and it's Doug Seegers and his All American Band.
Yes.
So we'll make sure that's on there. Brilliant. Well, we always ask everybody about career highlights. What would you say has been your career highlight? I mean, maybe accepting the idea of flying over to Sweden for the first time. Maybe that was pretty good. But what would you say? What would you say has been a big moment for you that you're most proud of?
I think the biggest moment for me was when I was out busking in Stockholm, and I had my female bass player with me at the time. Her name is Mai Agan. She's from Sweden. Actually, she's actually from Estonia, and she would take a ferry over to Stockholm to study music when she was a younger girl. And she got to the point where she actually she stalked me and wanted to play in my band. And I finally got to the point where I took her out busking one day, and when I realized what a great bass player she was, I hired her. And so we're out busking. Let me try to see if I can condense this story, but it's an amazing story. Just give me a couple of minutes here. I'll be as quick as I can.
Tell us the story. Don't worry about condensing it.
I take her out busking. I take her out. The first day we went out busking, we're sitting in a subway in Stockholm, and a couple of police officers walk up to me, and they say, you know, you can't, you're not allowed to be playing music down here. You know, you're going to have to move on. So I say to the police officer, all right, we're sorry. We'll get up and move. Sorry. And then he says to me, but before you go, Doug, can I get a selfie with you? Me and we cracked up. We thought that was the greatest thing, right? So another time, here comes the good story. Another time we're out busking in Stockholm, and this gentleman stops, and he's listening to us for a little bit, and he says, oh yeah, my friend told me to come over and listen to you guys. He said, you're really good. And I said, well, thank you very much. I said, you seem like you're a musician too, are you? He says, yeah, I'm Jackson Browne's bass player, and we're doing a show tonight here in Stockholm. And I go, oh, wow, that's amazing. Nice to meet you. So my bass player, she starts chatting with the guy. They trade phone numbers, and we get a call an hour later, and Jackson Browne has invited us to the concert that he's playing that night, right?
Wow.
So I get off the phone. She gets off. I'm at her house having lunch. She gets off the phone. She says, you're not going to believe what just happened. Jackson Browne invited us to his show tonight. I'm like, holy shit. All right, let's get ready here. Let's get dressed up, clean up, and get ready to go. So we go walking over to the concert hall. As soon as I walk through the door, Jackson Browne walks up to me and says, Doug Seegers, nice to meet you. He says, I've heard your story. I've listened to your music. He says, I really love what you're doing. Would you like to come up and play a song with us tonight in the show? So of course, I say yes. I get up and play Going Down to the River because it's already a hit, right? So it goes over well. So here comes the good part. During the course of us getting up to play that song, my bass player, Mai Agan, falls in love with Jackson's steel player. They're looking at each other while I'm playing the song. They're making Google eyes at each other, right? So they wind up falling in love and getting married. And then she gets married. She just got married last year to Greg Leese, who's Jackson's pedal steel player. So now she says to him, you don't happen to know David Crosby by any chance, do you? So Greg says, well, would you like to meet David? She says, of course. Long story short, she's on tour with David Crosby now.
Oh, what? The Lord works in mysterious ways, Doug?
All from busking. All from busking.
Listen, I'm hanging up now and I'm going out busking because this is I'm
That-
wasting my time doing anything else.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I got to get back out there myself.
That's
the
amazing,
best,
isn't it?
That's the best story I have. Yep.
That is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That's a beautiful story.
It really
Jackson
is.
Brown Jackson Brown is a wonderful man. Really, what a nice guy. Just for letting me get up there in the middle of his show, you know.
And your band is married into his band. Literally, you'll be your family now. You and Jackson.
No, I don't know about that, but
yeah, amazing.
Maya's doing really well. That's good. I'm real happy for her.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, we always ask for recommendation on the show. So we always ask you for if you can recommend somebody that people may not know or somebody people need to check out. But either way, it's somebody that they need to know. So who would be your recommendation, Doug Seegers?
Ali Sherlock. I think she's fantastic. She's just so talented. What a great guitar player for her age too.
Yeah, absolutely. And her voice is so just doesn't. She's I think she's 15 or something now still, and her voice is so mature and there's some brilliant videos to check out. So many YouTube videos of her, isn't there? People singing with her, duetting with her.
Yeah, and you know, it's just she's so cute and so talented at the same time. But what you really feel when you watch her videos is her love and addiction for music. You know, it's like she was meant to be doing that. You know, she was absolutely meant to be doing that. What she's doing.
Yeah,
You know?
there's the sheer joy in her face when she hits those big notes and she's just going for it. It's just yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, Ali Sherlock, we'll put a link to her stuff on there, and we'll put links to your stuff on there too, obviously, for people to go and check out. Especially the video that has all the footage of you meeting Jill and the Swedish camera crew is amazing.
And let's try one more time with Graham and Amy Lou in case there's anybody that hasn't heard.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep championing that cause.
Yeah, we'll
absolutely. Well, listen, thanks, Doug, for joining us. It's been absolute pleasure speaking to you. And
thank you.
And keep doing what you do. I mean, it's, as I said, and Amy Lou agrees with me. You can hear the life and the genuine scars in those songs, and it's and you know, it's just, sorry you had to live all that stuff, but we're now reaping the rewards in these fantastic songs to listen to. So thank you very much for sharing your story and for sharing your music with the world. It's been it's amazing, and long may it continue.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate your interest. Really do appreciate it.
All right, man. All right, take it easy and stay safe and well, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah. We all got to be careful now with that virus. It's just like I said, it's like a damn Stephen King movie. Be careful.
Yeah. All right, and you take care.